When I first heard of Frozen 2, I didn't really think it was a bad idea. They had been following up the original with a couple of random shorts and they were mid. I loved Frozen. It's a great film that can really hit hard in some parts and is a visually incredible movie, as well as story-wise. So I finally decided to sit down and watch Frozen 2. Hopefully it could reach the standards of the original and even be better. And after the film had ended and the credits began to roll, I sat there and thought, that was not a good movie. But I struggled to wrap my finger around the one thing that really made this movie bad. I soon realized that Frozen 2 is not only bad, it's terrible. I realized that there was not one thing that wasn't wrong with this movie. There were so many reasons piled on top of each other, and what I thought was going to be a good movie became something unexpected. The sequel to one of my favorite Disney movies turned out to be absolutely horrible. Before we get into why I hated this movie, I wanted to talk about the few things I liked. The animation is smooth and brilliant, and the texture of everything from the enchanted forest to that place where Elsa went in the middle of the ocean, it all looks absolutely breathtaking. The character design is incredible, and the film, all in all, looks really beautiful. Okay, that's it. That's all I liked from this movie. First off, everyone who is an Elsa or Anna either do nothing or they're mostly doing something that serves no point to anything. Olaf has a subplot where he's completely fine with what's happening because he believes he'll understand it when he grows up, and they steal the joke from that Adult Swim show.
This is fine. This is fine.
It could easily be inspired by the joke, but judging on the fact that the target demographic is kids and the short is from Adult Swim, I doubt their target demographic would get the joke, although it could be for the adults who are getting bored out of their minds during this horrible movie. I'm spending way too much time on the joke. Olaf's arc doesn't really matter, it leads nowhere, so every scene we got of him yammering about how he'll understand whatever the hell is going on is completely wasted. Kristoff spends all of the movie trying to propose to Anna, and it gets old after the second time he does it, and Anna is too caught up in Elsa to pay attention to anyone else, and I thought she would be completely fine with letting everyone else die as long as Elsa lived. The movie does a great job in not selling me on the fact that Anna cares about Kristoff, or anyone else for that matter. After Olaf dies, she sings a song and gets over it so damn quick, it's really unbelievable she actually cared about Olaf. Not only that, but the movie introduces some new characters that have potential. They could serve something to the plot. They could be interesting characters with well fleshed out motives, goals, and backgrounds. They could have been characters that I actually would have cared about. But just like everything else, the movie wastes it. We barely get any time with the characters. Just a couple of lines of exposition for this guard guy and that's it.
He passed long before all this. Built us a good life in Arendelle, but taught me to never take the good for granted.
Every new character here could have had potential. Every one of them. It would be so interesting to know something, just anything about the people who lived in the forest. But the movie decides to do nothing with them. They also revealed that Elsa and Anna's mom was one of the forest people who saved their dad, which is like, okay? They could have done something with it, but they decided not to. It brushes over really quick and left me with no idea what to think. So the mom was this mystical forest being? What? I feel like it's pushing way too hard to have that plot twist, and I really didn't like it. The mysterious element of Elsa's ice powers was something pretty cool because she was this human with powers, but turns out her mother wasn't a human, which is why the spirits gifted her the power of ice, because she's the daughter of a forest person and a human? What? Oh, and also because she's the Avatar.
Those of air, of fire, of water, and earth.
I didn't really care too much about the four elements being used. It's been done countless times before and isn't something that is specifically owned by Avatar. The film was definitely starting to push the whole elements thing when they had the forest people be able to control some elements, and the elements were created by some sort of spirit, and then there's someone who's the bridge between the two worlds. Oh wait, that sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Spoiler alert, Elsa's the bridge between the two worlds. I don't know why I had to say spoiler alert. I already spoiled the film, but I don't recommend watching it. Instead of wasting your time watching this, watch the first Frozen. That's something I need to do after experiencing this terrible film. The songs are mid compared to the first one. There is only one song I remember the lyrics to, and that is Into the Unknown. But other than that, the other songs are either forgettable or that god-awful song where Kristoff sings with the reindeers. I cannot describe how bad that song was. It takes this horrible dramatic tone where Kristoff is singing about Anna, and it has those dumb transitions and the reindeers. Oh no, the reindeers! The plot of the film could work if it was done right, but it's executed really poorly. It starts with a flashback and we get random exposition. Now, exposition isn't necessarily bad. It serves to help us understand more about the world, but there are better ways you can do exposition. Instead of having someone explain something in long sentences, you could sprinkle it throughout the film, so it doesn't seem like they're just giving us a ton of information in one part. That is how to do exposition. But if you're establishing a world for the first time or saying where the characters are at this point, like the opening crawl from the Star Wars films, then it could work, as the audience is being informed of this without the characters feeling fictional. Because that way, instead of having them explain stuff they already know, we jump into it without needing them to explain it. Now, this film's exposition is put in so many random places and they just give us big chunks of it, so it doesn't really feel natural. But it isn't my biggest problem with the plot. Fake-out deaths are something I have a huge problem with if they're overused, because there is no intensity. In the first one, Anna has a fake-out death in a way, but it actually had an impact on the film and was a genuinely heartwarming moment. Olaf starts to melt as well, but they save him, and with that the movie ends. But in this film, Olaf dies. But I didn't care because I knew he was going to come back. It was the most obvious thing ever. Elsa freezes just like Anna did in the first movie, but I knew she was going to come back because they did it in the first movie. It is so predictable and dumb. I didn't care for these characters because the stakes don't seem to be there. Elsa returns and saves the day and brings back Olaf, and in the end, everyone is happy. I do not like fake-out deaths, and you probably know that if you watched my video on The Rise of Skywalker. Even in the first film, I never actually believed Olaf was going to melt. Disney has a track record with fake-out deaths, and on some occasions, fake-out deaths can work. It can give our heroes a heroic moment to return, or maybe they become broken with a lust for revenge. Under the Red Hood is such a great example of the perfect fake-out death. In A Death in the Family, Jason is beat up by the Joker and killed, and he returns as an assassin, mad at Bruce for not killing the Joker. Jason has a believable death scene, and when it is revealed that the Red Hood is Jason, that's the moment I realized this is how to do a fake-out death. This is how to do a plot twist. And although by now the story of the Red Hood is known by everyone, which removes a bit of the tension, it is still an incredible example of a fake-out death. In Frozen 2, everything is predictable. I actually didn't notice Elsa was quote-unquote dead until Anna started singing about how sad she was. That's when I realized that when the movie had her freeze up, they wanted us to think she was dead. And I knew both Olaf and Elsa being dead wasn't going to last long, removing the element of surprise and joy as the movie ended. When your movie is predictable, it can take the heroic moment away, leaving the ending feeling less earned, which in this movie wasn't earned at all. But why? Why wasn't it earned? There was a journey the characters had to go through. Why wasn't it earned? First off, nobody besides Elsa really does anything. It feels like they're just aimlessly trying to follow a sound. The plot of this movie, by the way, is that they're trying to find a sound that's been bothering Elsa. Also, they shove in a bunch of things into the film that they just couldn't develop or do anything with, like animals being able to bend. Control one of the elements? Yeah, they didn't really explain that either. Why introduce all these new characters if they're going to serve no purpose? Why did the dam need to be destroyed to restore balance? That would just kill everyone and leave no one happy. It's not like the dam was doing anything bad. Not to mention the ending itself is absolutely terrible. Elsa saves everyone, restores Olaf, and lives in the forest while Anna becomes the queen. Holy crap! Isn't what the entire point of the first movie to get Elsa to accept her powers and finally take her place as the queen? This contradicts everything the first one built up. Why would they do this? What was the point? Elsa goes through everything in the first one only for her to lose it all because she wants to be relieved of the stress and leave it all to her sister while she goes to live with some random forest people she barely knows. Why? I cannot describe in words how much I hate this ending. It's sad the movie couldn't even get a simple happily ever after ending that doesn't destroy the first movie's journey right. In case you haven't noticed, I really hate this movie. I spent a long time writing this review, and as I wrote it, I just realized how sad this is. That Disney is taking their absolutely fantastic films and giving them horrible follow-ups that didn't need to exist. What's next? Zootopia 2? Actually, Brown Table proved that they can be good, and if it happens, I hope they don't screw it up like they screwed up every other great thing they had in store besides the MCU. But I guess that's asking a bit too much.